In this video we are going to learn about Abraham Lincoln, one of the most famous presidents our nation has ever had and one of the most influential Americans to ever live. He is famous for his beard. Back then a lot of people called beards whiskers, almost like a cat. As fun as his beard was, he isn't just famous for what he looked like, he is famous for what he did. He served as president during some of the most challenging years in American history, saving our union when we were in the midst of war and abolishing slavery. Let's look closely at the life of Abraham Lincoln starting from when he was a baby. It was a long time ago. Abraham Lincoln was born way back in 1809. This is a replica of the house where Abraham Lincoln was born. A replica is an exact copy of something. This is a replica of his birthplace so we can have an idea of the small, humble beginnings of this future leader. It was a one-room log cabin in Kentucky. When Abraham Lincoln was 7 years old, his family moved to Indiana. His dad was a hard worker, farming and working with wood as a carpenter. His parents taught their children about living a moral life and were very religious. They taught their children what was right and wrong on many issues, including slavery. Abraham Lincoln was taught how wrong slavery was, a belief he held throughout his life. Slavery was a terrible system that treated people like property. A slave had no rights and was forced to do whatever their owner told them to. Slavery is wrong, and it was wrong back then. There were many people who wanted to end it because they knew that every person should have rights. Now, as a young man, Abraham Lincoln was passionate about reading and writing. Here is a statue of young Abraham Lincoln found in Chicago. His neighbors used to think he was lazy because he preferred sitting down and enjoying books instead of going outside to do hard labor. He taught himself most things. While he would occasionally have teachers, it was never for very long. He loved reading and learning and wasn't afraid to teach himself. Later, when Abraham Lincoln was 22 years old, he struck out on his own, moving to New Salem in Illinois. It was from there that he once took goods by boat to New Orleans, where he saw slavery firsthand. He remembered what his parents taught him about slavery. No one could have guessed that he would be the person to abolish it. When he returned, he got busy. At the age of 23, he bought and ran a general store for a while, then shortly after served as a captain during the Black Hawk War and ran for political office for the very first time, losing an election. After losing the election, he became a lawyer, studying law all on his own. Remember, he loved learning and reading. Even though he lost his first election, he didn't want to give up. He ran again for office, but this time he won and served 4 terms in the Illinois House of Representatives. He was only 25 years old. It was during this time serving in the Illinois House of Representatives that he met Mary Todd, and they married in 1842 when Abraham Lincoln was 33 years old. They went on to have 4 children together. They moved to Springfield, Illinois, where they bought this home. It would be their home for 17 years. It was the only house that Abraham Lincoln ever owned. And here's the cool thing. The cool thing is that you can visit Abraham Lincoln's house in Springfield, Illinois today. You can visit his original house. Wow, that hair though. Woo! Somebody get him a comb! After serving in the Illinois House of Representatives, he wanted to serve not just Illinois, but the entire United States. So he ran for the United States House of Representatives, but lost. but he was later able to serve a 2-year term. He wasn't done. He ran for the U.S. Senate against Stephen Douglas. His debates with Stephen Douglas are considered the best political debates in American history. While Abraham Lincoln did not win the election, the campaign against Douglas made Abraham Lincoln famous and set the stage for his campaign for the presidency of the United States. Notice, Abraham Lincoln didn't quit even after losing so many elections. He is a great example of not giving up. Abraham Lincoln finally ran for president, and he won. In 1861, he became the 16th president of the United States. Look, he has the beard! When Abraham Lincoln became president, the United States was divided over many issues, especially slavery. This is sad. Once Abraham Lincoln was elected, the South began the process of splitting away from the United States, which started what became known as the Civil War. The South set up their own country, named the Confederate States of America. While there were many disagreements they had with Abraham Lincoln, they knew that Abraham Lincoln was against slavery. Abraham Lincoln had always been against slavery. He knew it was wrong. This was a major reason in the South for leaving the United States. Abraham Lincoln led the Union through these difficult days. The Civil War began in 1861 and went on for 4 years. 2 years into the war, Abraham Lincoln signed something called the Emancipation Proclamation, which was an executive order that declared all of the slaves free. The powerful words said that all slaves were to be free forever. Here's the thing, Abraham Lincoln never forgot the lessons he learned as a young man. All people are valuable and should be treated with equality and respect. The boy born in Kentucky, who lived in Indiana and then moved to Illinois, just changed American history by abolishing slavery. That same year at Gettysburg, a place where an important battle in the Civil War took place, Abraham Lincoln made one of the most famous speeches in American history, later called the Gettysburg Address. This picture was taken during the Gettysburg Address. Right here is Abraham Lincoln. He opened the speech with these words, 'Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.' 2 years later, the Union won the Civil War, but the joy was short-lived. A man named John Wilkes Booth, angry that the Confederate States of America lost the war, planned to kill Abraham Lincoln. Just days after the Civil War ended, John Wilkes Booth shot Abraham Lincoln in Ford's Theater. He died shortly after, leaving this country broken-hearted. Abraham Lincoln changed American history, and his legacy lives on today. There is a massive memorial that honors his memory, called the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. His face is featured on Mount Rushmore with other legendary presidents. And of course, his face is on the $5 bill and on the penny. He is all over the place, and for good reason. Abraham Lincoln held America together during the most challenging days in American history when our country was literally at war with each other. He abolished slavery, freeing millions of people, and was killed for standing up for what he believed in.